now. Check this out right now.
It was a nightmare.
Welcome back to the Glasshead Podcast. My name is Dorian Ames.
And this is Burgess Chase, and this is episode 8 of season 2 of the Glasshead Podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And today we have a very special guest, an entrepreneur, a managing partner of 1836, a bar here in Houston, Texas.
Yep.
And our friend,
Yes, indeed.
Mr. Jason Scheinthal.
Jason, my guy. Yes.
Hey
How
guys,
you
how
doing?
y'all doing? I'm doing great.
Doing good.
Look, I got Burgess Chase in my place. I got Dorian Ames in my place. How could I not be doing great?
Oh, man, you see it. You see it. You
Appreciate
keep
you,
it
Jason.
transparent.
Appreciate you.
No problem.
So as you know, we've been doing this podcast for a little while. We interview
Mm-hmm.
people here and there in Houston, and we're super happy to have you because you're such a, like I know you being part of Houston, trying to like be based in Houston. Your bar is like very Houston based. We definitely want to see what you think.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna start off and ask you, where are you from, Jason?
Yes.
So I'm actually a 6th generation Houstonian, on my mom's side. So my dad was born in New York. He was raised in Florida.
Okay.
He came here to go to UH Law School, married my mom. And actually what's funny is once my dad married my mom, my dad's parents came here, his brothers came here. His whole family kind of migrated because they knew Houston was the place, right?
Yeah.
Houston
And
is the
so
place.
my mom's side, they actually came in through Galveston and 6 generations ago. And my cousin recently had a baby, our first 7th generation Houstonian in the family.
Wow.
Haven't gotten to hold him yet because of COVID, but he's a cute little baby,
Yeah.
throw him in the air.
Wow. 7 generations in Houston.
That's
7
wild,
generations
man.
Houston.
You don't hear that a lot. You know
No,
what I'm saying?
I've never heard that.
To be honest,
That's
yeah,
cool,
because like
yeah.
your influence in the family generation is cemented in Houston. That's 7 generations. That's crazy.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and like knowing you, like I already know you love Houston. You're all about Houston. Your bar is very Houston based. You have a bunch of like murals and portraits based on Houston figures.
Literally
Yeah.
named 1836.
So that's why we called it 1836. So the Allen brothers, they bought the land and founded the city of Houston in the year 1836. So the land that became the city of Houston was essentially bought in the year 1836. We decided to name our bar that. So what happened was I was at lunch.
Yeah.
I was with a friend, and we went back and forth. We had so many different names for this bar. It was like naming a baby almost. And he's sitting there and he's like, dude, we need to call it Houston 1836 because that's the year Houston was founded. And I was like, I love all of that except the Houston. We're just going to call it 1836.
Yeah.
And it really resonated with me for 3 reasons. So reason 1 was that in Judaism, all the Hebrew letters correspond with a number.
Yeah.
And so the number 18 corresponds with the word chai. And chai means life. So, and then when you do things in Judaism and the number 18 is around, it's very special. And so that's the same thing with increments. 18, 36 is double life, 72 triple life. So I was like, 18 life and double life, this is great. Because I want my bar to have life.
Oh,
And
wow.
God knows with COVID, it needed life.
Yeah.
And so, the next thing was in Asian culture, when you have 2 sets of numbers that together add up to 9, it's lucky. So if you have 5 and 4 and 1 and 8, that 9 and 9, it's a lucky address,
Yeah.
right? So if you have 1 and 8 and 3 and 6, they both add up to 9, 9 and 9. I was good. Houston's got a big Asian culture,
Yeah.
Asian city. It all came together.
Yeah.
And then the last piece was Houston. Ever since I was a young kid, my family, we hosted people. That's where they came over. Holiday parties, events.
Big family.
People came over. We're a huge family. I got 9 cousins on my mom's side. I got 4, there's 7 of us on my dad's side. And then my dad and mom both have extended family. And for me, I'm someone who, like, my close friends become a part of my family. So we end up, having massive people over. And I just wanted a place where it was like, my family was coming. I wanted a place that was comfortable and cozy, that I wanted to hang out, that my friends wanted to hang out, that my family wanted to hang out. And so 1836 just resonated. And it was like in that moment, I knew that was the name. Nobody was going to talk me out of it because I knew it had a life. It was real.
It was kind of like when the dude found the name McDonald's and he was like, McDonald's. That's crazy. Like, that's the name.
just
So
resonated
1836 was just like,
It just
It hit.
resonates, right?
Yeah.
Because what happens is we said so many names, right? I was gonna call it Park Place at one point. I like Monopoly, so I was like,
Okay,
cool,
okay.
that'd be
oh,
pretty
okay,
cool.
yeah.
But I look at it and I'm like, is it a Park Place? Does it feel Park Place? Do I look, now I look at it and I think of all these names that we thought about and went through, and I'm like, no, this is 1836.
Yes.
It has its own identity. You know?
Yes.
It has its own aura.
And even like I used to work there. I still work there from time to time, and I can say like I couldn't see a different name. Like 1836 is like spot on. People love it. People are asking me. People ask me that question all the time. Like, why is it 1836? Like, what's it based of? I'm just curious though. Like, did you know the Asian background with the nines before?
I
you
did.
know that? Okay.
So
okay.
it's funny. My parents used to live at 5418 Wasatch, and when they moved, this guy came to the garage sale there, and he grabbed me, and he's like, "Why do they have the garage sale?" And I was like, "Well, they're moving." He's like, "They want to sell it?" And I'm like, "Well, they rented it." He's like, "I need to talk to the owner." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "I need to talk to the owner now." I was like, "Okay." So I got the guy in touch with the owner, and he talked to the owner, and he looked at me afterwards. He's like, "I think I'm going to buy this house." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "It's a lucky house." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, 5418. It's 9 and 9. It's lucky. I'm like, "What?" He goes, "It's lucky." And he told me all about it, and I researched it afterwards. I was like, "Shit, this is crazy."
Yeah.
So yeah, I had, and it's funny because this happened literally days before my friend suggested 1836.
I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah.
And so it was fresh on my mind. Like, this was not weeks or months apart. This was days apart. So it felt meant to be. You know, it was like, it works in Jewish religion. It works in Asian culture. It's Houston.
Exactly.
It just so much all at once. And one of my partners, Jake, he's very big on like finding these things that are meant to be. That sometimes things happen that like, how could this possibly have happened if it wasn't meant to be? And I think the name 1836, me meeting that guy, my parents' garage sales, like, I think it was meant to be.
No,
Definitely.
seriously, and just in all honesty, when I saw the name 1836, I remember I got because I saw the place with Bryce, and I was like, dude, this is gonna be nice. And it was like, well, but they don't have a name, and I was like, wait, what? Like, you know, and I was like, it's just being there though. I just felt like it was gonna be Houston oriented. It was gonna have that cemented feeling in there, and then when I saw the name, I automatically thought like, oh, 1836, he's gonna put the 1836. No, he was like 18 wrote out, but the 36 at the end, and it just like, I was like,
It looks good.
It looks so
Aesthetically,
perfect.
I like it.
You know?
It looks
so
good. Yeah.
good. So like, and then honestly, I want to also ask, like, when building up to it, you know, nobody saw the pandemic happening. So leading up before the pandemic and then after the pandemic, what was that like?
Oh man, that's a tough answer. So I'll tell you this. If you're planning on opening a bar or restaurant, don't do it right before a pandemic.
Now we have to say that.
That's my advice. I'm just putting that out
That's
there.
good
for the world.
advice.
You know, look, man, our world changed, right?
Yeah.
You know, we were doing fine. You know, were we everything we wanted to be day one? No, you never are. You know, at some point you get to a point you've opened so many of these things that you can, from day one, create a certain atmosphere and culture. But for a small business like mine, we're going to learn every day, especially in the beginning. So if I told you that February 1st, February 7th, February 28th, we were happy with everything as is, I'd be lying. But I can tell you that we were doing well. Like we were meeting where we needed to go. We were heading in the direction we wanted to head in. And then March comes, right?
March 12th.
And
The infamous day.
you know,
No, I think it was 13th.
I think the first time I knew, hey, I might be in trouble, was when the rodeo was canceled.
Yes.
Because I'm 32. The rodeos happened every year I've been alive.
Yeah.
Every year I've been alive, there's been a rodeo.
Rain or shine.
And it is not a small event, right? Millions of people
No,
go
it's
to the
global.
rodeo,
It's
right?
global now.
Right, exactly. Like we have one of the biggest rodeos in the world, and it was canceled.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I mean, honestly, it was a shocking moment, and I thought, shoot, I'm in trouble. Like this is something bad's gonna happen.
Wow.
And then we got shut down, and I will tell you, the first night we were shut down, I mean, it was lucky that I owned a bar because I got to drink a lot.
I think I was with you that night. I was with you that night.
Yeah, I think I was singing.
Yeah.
Did I do my
You
Casey
were?
and JoJo?
We were drinking and we were just singing and we were just vibing out.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
you know what?
This is it.
This is the end of the world.
It's
What
gonna
am I
go
gonna
with the
do?
flow.
You
Fuck
know?
it.
Like,
This is it.
At that point, I didn't know what was going to happen. And I'll tell you, the most important thing about being a business owner is the responsibility you have to the people who work for you. You have a responsibility to the consumer. You have a responsibility to your investors. That's all good and well. But the people who work for you, you are their means to survival.
Yeah.
Most of the people who invest with you, they're taking a risk. They don't want to lose their money. I don't want to lose their money. They're the second most important people in my world. But my employees, they could be out of work. And during the pandemic, if they were out of work, it's not like they can go find a job across the street. There's a time where, okay, you shut down, you all go find jobs elsewhere. I'll get on the phone and find a job for everyone. But during the pandemic, that wasn't an option.
Yeah.
They were out of work. They were out of work. And that's still true today. I mean, it's still hard to find jobs, right?
No,
and
seriously.
so,
It is.
for me, you have that first night, you're drinking, you're vibing, you're doing whatever because you're like, shit, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling it right now.
You wake up the next morning and you're like, all right, it's time to get to work. Let's figure it out. And that's what we did. We figured out, how do we do to-go and delivery? How do we do to-go alcohol? How do we do alcohol for people who just are walking their dog and handing it out to them?
Yeah.
How do we get people to start coming in again and feeling safe once we're allowed to be open? How do we supplement our sales by using what's called a virtual concept so that we have extra food? I mean, so one of the things we do is our restaurant, 1836, our primary food provider is my partner, and it's Roadster Grill. So it used to be a restaurant in Bel Air for many years. It closed down. We reopened it with inside 1836 for to-go and delivery, but also to service our 1836 customers when they come in and eat. But bottom line is we weren't doing enough in sales. So we partnered with a company called NextBite. And what NextBite does is NextBite takes your menu, they look at it, and they match you with one of their menus. And then they have a brand, they have recipes, they have a menu, and they basically sell it through third-party delivery apps, and then I make the food, and we split the money. So I have 4 NextBite concepts in my building in addition to 1836. It's 30% of my sales today. And so our goal over time is to improve our kitchen and add more of those virtual concepts. And actually, that's what our next location is going to be, is kind of a hub for virtual concepts and other restaurants to all operate within one set of 4 walls.
Dude,
That's genius.
that's
genius. I love that idea. And then when I saw it at 1836 and I saw how it was moving, I was like, this is the future of like restaurants.
Yeah.
If it's not now, it definitely is going to be the future.
I think it will be. I think that we're at a point, they say greed is good, right? But
There's
the
2 different
reality is
types of greed.
there's too much greed in the world.
Yeah.
And these big real estate companies are buying and trading buildings at a rate that is unhealthy. Because what they're doing is they're charging rents that are unattainable for the normal consumer. A mom and pop can barely open today, okay? You have to pay so much in rent. You have to personally guarantee that rent. There's so much that goes into it that it is almost impossible for you to open up a mom and pop unless you're already upper middle class.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Or you have an investor who's going to, put their neck on the line for you.
Yeah.
What I've seen and what I believe is that for restaurants and bars, you're going to have to do more than your core competency. You're going to have to find supplemental revenue streams to survive. This isn't true for everyone. Some people have pre-existing leases. Some people have been around forever. Some markets, you can get around the rents. You can find ways, you can find things to do. But if you want to make a lot of money, because the typical bar and restaurant, you're not making a lot of money. You're making money. You have to find a way to supplement your sales with other revenue streams. And I do think virtual concepts, massive restaurant hubs where you've got more than one brand. I mean, think about it. Good Company, right? Good Company has Good Company Taqueria. They have Good Company seafood.
Barbecue.
They have Good Company Barbecue. Why do they need 3 different buildings?
Yeah.
Why do they need 3 different rents? Why not have Good Company Food Hall, okay? Or just Good Company, and you go in there and you get all the different stuff you want, right? It's one set of expenses, one set of cooks, one set of prep. You don't have to diversify as much.
What's crazy? The concept you're talking about, I've been to, and they're not flea markets, they're like food markets, where in like Philadelphia, I think, for instance, they have like a whole bunch of restaurants in one spot. And the idea, like the concept you're talking about, is not a very popular thing. So like that's crazy to see that as you're trying to make that as a mainstream thing now. And that would be innovative.
Kind of like a food hall?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a virtual food hall, right? So the general idea is that
virtual.
you design it for to-go and delivery. And that's the virtual part, right? To-go and delivery. most food halls aren't designed for that. Most food halls are designed for people to come in, right?
Exactly.
But if you design it for to-go and delivery, and then you still create a cool environment for people who want to come in, that's how you maximize your efficiency, I believe. And I think that's going to be something that we see change in the industry. Now, look, the market could readjust, rents could change, systems could change. The government could suddenly, in a response to COVID and everything that's been happening, funnel a ton of money to small businesses to encourage them to open, and maybe the world changes. But right now, where we are, to go and delivery was the fastest growing portion of the hospitality industry before COVID.
Yeah. And also, I wanted to just ask more about the hospitality and so what really like inspired you?
Well, before you get into that, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Growing up, we know you're from Houston.
Yeah.
What role models did you have growing up?
Yeah,
you feel like kind of led you to like where you are.
Yeah, what led to Jason Scheinthal being
doing what he does now?
Yeah,
it's an interesting question to answer. There's a lot of different people who, at different points in my life, got me to where I am today. I think that if I had to start anywhere, I would start with my parents. My mom is probably the sweetest woman on earth. All right.
I can attest to that. I love your mom. She's great.
My mom sits down with somebody. She'll ask them questions. She wants to know the life story. She'll listen to them. I've gone places with my mom where we're in a waiting room, and I'm hella mad that we're in this waiting room. We've been there an hour and a half. What the hell are we doing? When are we going to get out of here? My mom's sitting there chatting up the lady next to her. Like I come over and she's like, "Hi, this is Jeanette. She's got like 6 kids. She was born in Houston. Her husband's from Miami.
Story.
Knows everything."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What the hell?" I know people to this day who, like, my mom will be like, "Hey, I need something," and they'll be like, "Oh, no problem, Julie. I got it." And I'm like, "Why are they doing this?" And I realize it's because they genuinely love my mom because she's this sweet lady.
The energy is amazing.
But what's more amazing to me is that it's genuine on my mom's side. A lot of people who finesse in this world, right?
Yes.
Yes.
They'll sit down with you, they'll talk to you, they'll pretend they're your friend, whatever. My mom, she doesn't have a great memory, so she may not actually remember the conversation she had with you, but she means it in the moment. She wants to have that connection.
Yeah. And
that was amazing to me. And then there was my dad. My dad's this guy who spent all his time working. Okay. He's somebody, I remember this story once. I woke up one morning and I said, I'm going to school. He's like, bye. I woke up the next morning, I'm going to school, and my dad's actually coming home from work. And it turned out he had a meeting and he had to, it was an overseas meeting, so it was a weird time. He didn't come home for 24 hours. He was just in his office. He took a little nap there, he did some work. But that was the kind of guy he did. He took his job seriously. He worked hard. He provided for us. And it didn't stop there because he didn't just provide for us. He took care of my grandparents. He helped out with other people in our family. He went above and beyond to be there for people. And his love for us was felt through his actions of what he was trying to do and provide for us, what he wanted for us. And it started my life with love. And I know it's a weird thing to say, but the truth is, when you look at your role models and what they teach you, and you'll have role models throughout your life if you're lucky. You'll have mentors throughout your life if you're lucky. People you can look to, people who will help you, people who will take the time to speak with you. And for me, I look for people who flow in the stream of love, who take this mindset of we appreciate people.
Yes,
we treat people with respect and compassion. We're logical. We're business people. We look at the world a certain way, but we don't look at people as less than what they are.
Ethical.
To some degree ethical, but ethics is whatever. That's a different story.
I have a friend who has like a saying. She says, "Whatever you do, do it with love."
Yeah.
And when she said that to me one time, or I saw her say it on like social media or something, it really stood out to me. And I'm kind of getting that feeling right now as well. Like, the fact that love is like kind of driving the factors that is a driving factor in what you do. That's beautiful. Yeah, you can't help but respect that.
Seriously, and it's extremely genuine because it's like
it's love.
It's love. And how can you hate on love?
You can't fake love.
But they say there's a thin line between love and hate, but that's where you can see the difference in between genuine and not, though. And I guess that's where you come.
Well, look, and here's the truth too. Like, it leads to some like moments where you can get angry or frustrated because you are passionate and genuine. You know, look, I'll give you an example. There's a situation I was in recently where, you know, I want my business to succeed for 1,000 different reasons. Only one of them is so that I can make money. You know, the truth is, if I have a roof over my head, if I can pay my bills, if I can do the things I want to do for the most part, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I don't need to be able to buy everything in the world. I'm not a big car guy where I need a really expensive car. I don't need the fanciest place. I don't need that stuff. If I could get that stuff one day, great, no problem. I'll take it.
Yeah.
But I don't need it. But what I need is to protect my investors' investment, to protect my employees' jobs, to keep all of the people who reach their neck out for me in a good position.
All your stakeholders. Yeah.
And I go to those stakeholders sometimes and we talk about COVID and saying, hey, will you be a part of solving this problem of COVID? Because it's not for us, not for the world.
Yeah.
We can't solve that one.
It's hard.
Come on.
Yeah.
But and some of them, you know, their responses to me sometimes are, you know, it doesn't mean as much to us as it does to you. And I get that. It means a lot to me, but it starts to become something where you look at them and they're not all in. And you know, one of the things I've looked at and thought about as I grow is that I really want to try to work with and bring people in who are all in, who are committed, who want to fight every day and grow the things you grow. Because when you do it with love, you do it with passion. And that passion sometimes makes you angry. Sometimes makes you sad, sometimes makes you whatever, but it also is the fire you need to succeed. You know, if you don't have passion for what you're doing, if you don't believe in what you're doing and you're just doing it, you're not going to be that successful.
No.
And look, there's tons of people who just have a job, and that's respectable because that's not their passion. Their passion might be their family. Their passion might be their hobby. Their passion might be volunteering. I was telling someone the other day, he's like, dude, I don't know what I want to do. I just want to make money. I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to find your passion in your job.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to have your passion, and then your job is a means to an end. It pays
Exactly.
your bills,
It's a
so you
tool.
do your passion.
It's a tool.
Exactly. Yep.
You know, but that passion, to your point, that thin line of love and hate,
Yeah.
I can go real fast from loving you to hating you because it's just like you're always on. And that actually probably is my biggest flaw that I have to work on is not being so emotional. I'm so emotionally invested in what I do that sometimes I have to take a step back and say, are you being too emotional right now?
Yeah, it's a gift and a curse, you know. Honestly, I can attest to that, you know, just being so emotional behind certain business aspects and wanting certain things to be the result. And if it doesn't reach that result, or if it's not even just enough of that result, you get emotional. But that, in a way, like I say, a gift and a curse, it brings something out of you. And it brings something out of you around the people around you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had plenty of people tell me, like, you do, the way you talk and the way you, like, go about certain things, it's like, that inspires me to go better. You know what I'm saying? So I can only imagine in the field of hospitality, in that restaurant business, and you're so passionate with your employees all the way top, bottom, doesn't matter if you're busboy or you're the manager of the restaurant. It's like, we're trying to meet a goal, and, you know, we all need to be on the same page. And that's really beautiful to hear, man. Seriously, at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, there's never been a point in my life where I've been as happy as I am right now.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
And it's interesting because a lot of things suck.
Yeah.
Because of COVID,
during the pandemic,
a
y'all
lot of
realize
things
that.
suck. So it's kind of like there's something wrong with me. This is what I feel sometimes. But I realize that the reason is I'm actually doing something I love.
Yes.
And that is hard to find.
It really is. And just going into more of that, like, what other things, like, during your childhood felt like made you feel like that? Like, oh, like, I'm presenting more love rather than I'm just trying to get a buck.
So growing up, you know, I like to join clubs at school. And what I wanted to do when I was younger, to be honest, when I was younger, I never thought I'd be in hospitality. I always thought I'd go into politics. I did. I wanted to be president of the United States. I thought that I could do that. I was like, man, I would be.
Say that, Jason. I can see that.
Don't write
Well,
that off too quick.
Look,
let's do it.
it's
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Scheinthal. Yeah, I hear you. Scheinthal 2040.
Yes.
But look, I don't envision myself going into politics anymore because I have become disenamored with the system. We can touch on that in a minute.
Yeah, don't worry, we're gonna get there.
But my point is, growing up, that's what I thought I was going to do. So a lot of what I did was I joined like student government, and I was in clubs, and I did things like that. And so where I am now and today is I look back as a kid and I look at all the things I did, and a lot of them were for that. But what started happening when I would join those clubs and join student government, in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe one day I'll be president. But I was like, right now I'm responsible for these people and these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this weird sense of responsibility that I always felt I had, and you learn a lot of things. When I was in high school, I was regional president for my youth group. So it was Houston, Austin, San Antonio, and there were, about 8 chapters, and I was elected the president of all of them, and they each had their own presidents, whatever. But bottom line is, there were some things that would come up, and I would feel like I had to make a decision for everyone. What I learned is I didn't. I probably should have at the time talked to people more, brought more people in, build more things. Instead, what I did was I ruled, if you will, from a standpoint of what do I believe is best for everyone, without communicating and figuring out how did everyone else feel? Was there a middle ground? Does someone else have a different perspective? And if I can tell you the one thing that any smart person does is they find people who know more than they know. Mm-hmm. They find people who know things that they don't know, and they surround themselves with those people.
Yes.
And then they shut up and listen to those people, which is a very hard thing to do, especially if your name's Jason Scheinthal.
Trust me, Burgess Chase has a
Dorian
very big
Ames
issue
as
with that.
well.
Trust me.
Yes.
But honestly, and attest to that, I remember watching a video of Lionel Richie. His daughter was recording a video of him on their private jet, and literally he was like, his daughter was like, yo, so like, what makes you successful? Like, what did you do? And he was like, well, to be honest, I just got to think about this time where I had a conversation with a man who was more successful than me at the time. And he honestly told me, and I asked him, I was like, you got this, you got that. Like, what did you do? And he was like, he laughed and he responded with, well, to be honest with you, man, I stopped having, debating. I stopped arguing. I just started listening more, and somebody came to me and told me, because I was like, I need to go out and do this, need to do that. And then somebody was like, well, nah, man, you need to relax, you need to do that. Mm-hmm. You need to, and then he responded with like, well, no, you need to fight for what you need. You need to fight for being successful. You want to go out there and go that extra mile. And he was like, all right, bet. Didn't argue it. And then from that point on, he was like, wow, that's the key. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know everything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You can be passionate about certain things, but you're not going to fully understand certain things that are like not in your parameter of perspective. Yeah. So you have to be more open.
And we had that conversation a few weeks ago, like learning to see things from other people's perspectives and understanding people and understanding that, hey, just because you don't get along doesn't mean one person's right or one person's wrong. It's just the fact that you're just not seeing it from the same point of view.
Exactly.
And like my dad taught me the same thing. Like it's better to like listen rather than to speak too much and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then you telling that story reminded me of what Drake said in that one song. A wise man once said nothing at all. You know what I mean? Like it's very true. Like sometimes you just need to be a sponge and absorb things around you rather than just like push things from inside with outside. Mm-hmm.
But getting also just, because we running it, we having a good conversation, but I want to address the elephant in the room.
Oh yeah, let's get to it.
So let's talk about it. So we have this elephant in the room where we address certain things that are in society that, everybody's very aware of, but they're not talking about it and they're not acknowledging it, but they're aware that it's there. So right now, the elephant in the room this week is the voting that's going on.
It's a 2020 election.
There's a lot of going on in the voting and going into the elections next Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Mail-in ballots have been a big debate. We just elected the Supreme Justice.
She just got approved.
Justice got approved. And I'm pretty sure that hasn't been done in years. Apparently, they elected before the election. I think
it was right before. Was it right after Obama or right during Obama's
No,
term?
It happened with Obama, but they pushed it back after his election. That's the thing, that they have elected her.
That was a big thing
before the election happened.
As far as the elephant in the room, I kind of want you to talk about the importance of this election, your point of view in the election, and any like words of wisdom you have for like first time voters or people who are just thinking about, who should I vote for? What should I be looking for?
Those people that are looking at the country like, I don't know.
So I'll start with this. I think that the biggest problem in our country today is, well, there's two.
Go ahead.
I think the first is this. It stopped being okay to change your mind. When John Kerry was running for president, they kept calling him a flip-flopper because maybe he felt one way at one point and he felt another way at another point. I think that is a sign of a real leader. Someone who can listen and maybe change their mind. Someone who can listen and maybe they didn't change their mind, but they see, okay, well, what if we do it this way? What if we adapt it? What if we make a compromise? It stopped being okay to compromise. Mm-hmm. It stopped being okay to listen and learn and change and just focus on doing something to help the people. The other problem is we started listening to the news in a way that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
We started looking at social media and memes and jokes and creating a reality. We stopped looking at what's true and really diving deeper than someone said this. Mm-hmm. You know, if I went to school and people were gossiping, I'd come home and my parents would say, well, how do you know it's true? It's gossip. Gossip is wrong. But when you post it on the internet and say it, it's not gossip anymore, evidently.
Yeah.
If I say right now, hey, the governor of Texas is actually having an affair with 3 women and he's a terrorist, there's going to be people who believe that that's happening.
That's actually happening.
Okay? Yeah. I heard it with Obama. Okay? Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many people said Obama's a terrorist. No, the fuck he's not. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
He's not.
Go free.
He was never a fucking terrorist.
Yeah.
That's just not true.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, could you have made an argument that certain policies led to a vacuum that led to whatever? Sure. The man wasn't a terrorist. Mm-hmm. Okay, the man was president of the United States of America.
And did what he had to do.
He absolutely was not a terrorist.
Yeah.
But I had people come up to me, look me in the eye and say, he's a terrorist. You know, there is a problem. And this election and every election after is so important that people vote.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Young people in particular.
Talking to you 18-year-olds.
I am.
Yeah. Look
right?
at the camera.
Look, is it 17
You're
now?
18, you're 19, you're 20, you're 21, you're 22, you're 23. Whatever you are, it is far more likely that you are open-minded, that you think about things, that you are willing to look at both sides. Okay? The older you get, the more stuck in your ways you get, the more stubborn you get, the more that you are impacted by a previous belief that is impacting how you look at the world today. And it is a challenge to objectively make a decision because you are stuck in a system of partisan politics that is broken. But young people are not. We are more open-minded. We are less likely to identify ourselves as Democrats and Republican, more likely to identify ourselves as independents, as people who want to learn and see. And so if you are not learning about the issues, if you are not learning about the candidates, if you are not voting, not just in the presidential elections, but in every election that is happening, you are doing a disservice to your country. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. It is not the president who makes every decision in our nation. Okay? It is our city councils. It is our school boards. It is our mayors. Yes. Okay? It's our state legislatures. Mm-hmm. The most important person in the state of Texas is the lieutenant governor. That is the most powerful position in Texas. And half the people I know probably couldn't name to me Dan Patrick, who is an evil man. Okay? I will say that. I don't say this about a lot of people.
Yeah.
Dan Patrick hates black people. Dan Patrick hates gay people. Dan Patrick hates. He is not a man filled with love. He does not care about building a better Texas. He cares about building a better Texas for people who believe the way that he believes.
Yes.
So yes, he wants Texas to survive if you believe everything he believes.
Yeah.
And if you don't,
You're off on the wayside.
Then you're on the wrong side.
You're on the wrong
In
side.
his eyes.
I am not a Democrat and I am not a Republican. Mm-hmm. I am more of an independent than I could be. Do I lean Democrat? Yes. That's because the modern Republican Party hates gay people. Mm-hmm. That's why. Mm-hmm. Okay? If the modern Republican Party could get past its massive homophobia, then I might be able to relate more with Republicans. Mm-hmm. But that is the biggest problem of the Republican Party today. Democrats are fine, except they go on the opposite end of the spectrum. And you got these crazy liberals who believe in this cancel culture, who believe that anything you do, whether it's a misspeak,
Preach,
whether it's a problem, a small accident, something that had no ill intent can shut you down and end your life. Okay? There is no middle ground to the far left. The far left, the world is black and white. And that is so far from the truth. The world is gray.
Yes.
The world is gray.
If you like it or not.
So you're stuck. You're stuck between the far left, who see the world as black and white in the most simplistic way possible, and the far right, who hate. They are filled with hate. And the truth is that hate comes from insecurity and fear.
Yes.
That hate comes from ignorance and not really knowing people and understanding people. It is the craziest time to be an American. And so, on something important on that note, that is why Donald Trump has to leave office.
Yeah.
That is why. He is the epitome of what is wrong with our nation.
Yeah.
He lies, and he lies in such a way that you have no way to prove that it's a lie. He lies, and then you prove that it's the truth, and people don't care.
Exactly.
He will not say and do certain things because he knows that it will turn certain people off, but he doesn't understand the risk, or even worse, he does understand the risk of doing such things.
He just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Okay? I am not saying that Joe Biden is the savior sent by the Lord, because he is far from it.
Trust me.
But
Yeah,
I
we
will
know.
tell you this. Joe Biden is a far step ahead of Donald Trump.
Yes.
And I would vote for Republicans, and I would vote for other Democrats, but I will not vote for Donald Trump.
You can't, man.
I could not vote for him because he does not have a heart filled with love.
He doesn't.
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
what we start this conversation off.
Love.
Love.
Man.
Love.
When you see in the memes they talking about you stupid Americans. Donald Trump, my guys, gotta get rid of him.
Yeah.
But Jason Scheinthal, man, we applaud, man.
Jason. Yes, Jason. Thank you so
thank y'all for
much.
having me.
Oh my gosh, we're definitely gonna continue this conversation.
We have to after this, but we ran out of time.
Definitely.
We-
Is there
we run
anything, any shout outs you want to give out? Any last words of wisdom? Anything you want to give?
So, two things that I'll say. One, live with love. If you make your decisions and you do it from a place of love, more often than not, you'll be making the right decision. And two, this is a little shameless, come visit me at 1836. It's a great place. 2221 West Alabama, Houston, Texas, 77098.
Hey, you heard it
Definitely.
there first.
Yes, sir. You already know.
1836 in Houston,
Yes, sir.
Texas.
And you
is
might
the
see
bar
me
to go.
there, so even more reason to come visit us.
Hey, yeah, we can't be. That's too exclusive. We ain't talking about that right now, but it's coming soon. You know what I'm saying?
But like how we say, we got it going on here at the Glasshead Podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Most facts.